Hi. So for this journal entry, I'm going to try to keep it short. This time I'm going to be talking about Janusz Kush, Janusz Korczak. He is a famous man who lived within one of the ghettos, and he ran a child orphanage in the ghetto, and also one outside of the ghetto. Some people call him child psychologist, um, teacher, doctor. He, in my opinion, is an extremely brave and loving type of person. And I get to why I think that. He, again, like I said, he owned and ran an orphanage within the Warsaw Ghetto. And within his orphanage, he didn't treat his children like they were just, a random head he had to take care of and stuff. He really called them his children. At one point, he even, in the Ghetto Diary, which is this book I'm reading for my final, pretty good. I recommend it. He makes a reference to an old man, to a man talking, and then he says, "Oh, do you have children?" And he's like, "Yes, I have children. I have 200 of them." This is how many in his orphanage. He's referencing to himself. And the other person's like, "Oh, you're joking with me. It's not true." But Janusz, he really saw the kids within his orphanage as his kids. He took care of them. He actually put into part, the reason why they call him a child psychologist, he really put into part that he actually had it where if two kids, instead of fighting over something, they would, someone can sue the other person. And kids were chosen to be the judges. At the end of the week, they would have all lined up all of the different cases they have, and it would be presented, and then the punishment would be given out. Which is really interesting how he did that. That, he created a Bill of Rights for these children to go by, and to make sure that everyone was treated equally and fairly. That even though outside of the orphanage they might not, within the orphanage they are treated the same and fairly. And they know what is expected of them and what will happen if you do not do what you're supposed to do. It is all written out. And the funny thing is when I was thinking, when I read that he was doing these court hearings for the punishments of the kids, if there was an issue between them instead of fighting, I was like, that's a pretty genius idea, because no kids beating each other up, and B, it makes sure that they're thinking it through and talking it through instead of going on reflexes. They're taking a moment to breathe. They're giving like a week or however long, I think it was a week, until that court date, and they'll be able to breathe and process and remember and put out their case to the judges or the other kids that were chosen. And it was really interesting. But mostly what Janusz is known for, though, at the point of when the Nazis were starting to take Jewish people into the death camps, an order was shown for his orphanage to be sent to a death camp. And before that, everyone knew it was going to happen. They kept trying to get him away, sneak him out of the ghetto. Even when he got up to the train with these kids he didn't even tell the kids they were about to be going off to be killed. They said they're going on a field trip, on a picnic, and they were going with like all dressed nice and looking like they're about to have fun, getting on this train. And even at the point of the train, a Nazi even tried to stop him, because outside of the ghetto he had an orphanage that took care of everyone. He took care of everybody, and so everyone knew his name and everyone loved him, because he was a really loving guy, and strict but loving. And so they tried to get him, they tried to stop him physically from getting on that train, and he said, "I'm getting on those trains with my children. I'm not leaving them. I told them I would not leave them. If you don't want me to get on this train, you're going to have to shoot me in front of all these children." So instead of doing that, they just let him in. Janusz just pushed him to the side and got into the train with all his kids. And sadly, he was sent to Treblinka, I believe it was, and was killed with all of his children from the orphanage, unfortunately. But reading the Ghetto Diary, you see that he was very intellectual and insightful and everything. And Ghetto Diary literally is his diary that he wrote while he was in the Warsaw Ghetto. And you sound like you see him losing hope near the end, unfortunately. The beginning is being helpful, so hopeful for everything, but as you get near the end, getting sicker from not eating as much because their rations are getting low. He's trying to make sure the children eat and healthy rather than himself. So he's just consistently writing. But he was, he was a really, you can tell he really loved his children. He's apparently commemorates his own postage stamps, and his grave is the only one that has a name on it because of his act and what he did. He, in my opinion, really, he's rightfully commemorated. Because there are not a lot of people who, when given the chance to stay alive, would give it away so that he can, so that they can be with their children and make sure that they do not get scared, and you don't want them scared or frightened and crying and everything. So really respect him for that. He deserves that respect. Anyway, I wanted to keep this short, give you my thoughts on Janusz Korczak. I'll never get his name right. Anyway, I believe this is my last and final journal. So thank you for listening to me for all this time. Yeah.